Hey everybody, welcome to Go and Grow Homestead. I wanted to do a video today about our channel purpose. So I've got my notes here and we'll get started. So one of the reasons I wanted to start this channel obviously was to share our homesteading journey with whoever wants to come along with us. That'll include information about chicken keeping, gardening, food preservation, meal planning, etc., and just all of the things that go with that. The projects that we've done already, the projects that we're going to do in the future. Right now our homestead is at the chicken keeping and gardening phase, so we're still growing it. My husband and I both still work full-time and we have a child in school, so it is very busy, and right now we do have to have both of those jobs, so we can't have one of us staying home and focusing more on the homestead at the moment. However, that is the part that we're excited about, is the future and moving forward and everything that is yet to come. So share what we have learned, what has worked well for us. It'll hopefully give you guys some ideas too if you've already started on this journey and you want some encouragement, some guidance, questions that you have. They're probably going to be a lot of the same questions that we had. And then we of course want you to watch and learn with us as we go on this journey. As we add new animals and new features to our homestead, we've got a lot of ideas and a lot of plans. So of course, like I said before, just give you encouragement if you're considering starting this lifestyle as well. And again, if you've already started doing it and you kind of want to know what's next, what am I supposed to do, what should I not do, those sorts of things, and hopefully give you some ideas for that. One thing I'm never going to do on this channel is say, this is how we do it, and so this is exactly how you have to do it. A homestead is just as different as every other person that's out there, so everybody's homesteads are going to look different, feel different, have a different style to them, and there's so many great ways to do this lifestyle. So we're not all going to be doing the same thing, we're not all going to be using the same products, we're not all going to be building the same types of structures on our property, so that's okay. I just want to show you what we're doing, and then if it helps you out, then great. Or if you're just entertained by it, then that's good too. Topic that we'll cover here a lot is energy management. So that should be top of mind for everybody, but I know with everything that's going on in the country and the world these days, there's a lot that we have to pay attention to. But energy management is a big one. You see that in the news all the time, all the different ways that energy companies can't keep up, the ways they're trying to encourage people to do things differently, and all of the things that energy companies have tried in the past and are currently trying in order to reduce that dependence on the grid, right? So homesteading is a big part of that if you're going to do it that way. Just having access to your amenities in emergency situations. If the power goes out, what are you going to do? And it does, right? Every year people experience short power outages all the time. So if you're going to be without power for 1 to 3 days, or sometimes 5 days, depending on what's going on in your area, or a little bit longer or a lot longer, what are you going to do? How are you going to shelter in place if that is still an option for you after your power goes out, depending on the reason it went out? Obviously, if you live in an area where you've had a hurricane and everything's just wiped out, you're just going to have to leave the area for a while. But if we're talking about short-term power outages, that's something that people experience all the time already. So what is your plan? Do you have a water storage system? Do you have food stocked up that you can use that doesn't require cooking? Or do you have a way to cook, a different cooking source if that happens? Those sorts of things. So heating your home, having a wood stove, etc. And so as we go along, we'll talk more about that. Right now I'm sitting next to my fireplace. It is a 40-plus-year-old ambient style fireplace. So we are going to be upgrading this to a wood stove. We live on 32 wooded acres, so that makes perfect sense for us. That might not make sense for you. Maybe you want to go the route of a pellet stove or some other type of heating wood stove option. But something like this is going to be critical, right? To heat your home in winter, should you need that. And right now this is nice, as it says, for ambiance, but also it does kind of heat the room that it's in, and it pushes a little bit of heat out into the... So I'm also a big fan of solar power on a small scale, individual scale use. Having solar panels at your house is great, or solar power to them for exterior. The camera system is solar powered, so that's kind of where we've started with that. But there are a lot of things you could do on a smaller scale that hopefully in the future, if everybody starts doing this and at a large scale rate, or thinking of other ways to just reduce your electricity usage, then we won't have to see all of these solar farms that are popping up everywhere. There are several all over my state. There's some going in my area. I'm very sad and disappointed about that. They look hideous and they are taking up farmland. And we don't really know the long-term effect of those, right? So that's something that if we were all doing a little bit more and reducing our dependence on the grid, then maybe energy companies wouldn't have to explore options like that. So just overall, a shift in your mindset too will be a focus and has been a focus on our homestead so far. And we would like others to be thinking about that too, in terms of reducing your reliance on whatever your current energy sources are that you're using, unless you're already doing something like this or you're even farther along than we are in our journey with that. And then of course, transitioning into this lifestyle, if you weren't already doing it, sure, it can cost some money. There's ways to offset those costs, so we'll kind of cover those as we do additional videos and as we're talking about specific topics. But in the long term, you could potentially save a lot of money living this lifestyle as well. Sometimes you can make money. You can make just a regular living. Sometimes you can make a big living. Sometimes it's not as much about the money that you're bringing in by living this way, but it's the big chunk of money that you save. Think about how much you pay in electricity and your heating costs, for example, or your AC unit when you're running that in the summer. How much does that cost you in a year? If you didn't have to live that way, if you didn't need those things, how much could you be saving, right? Another thing too, we'll just be talking about sourcing materials for the things that we're trying to build around here. And then having a hand pump well system. I grew up with, my grandparents had one of those. It was fabulous. It was great. The water was wonderful. Of course, you're gonna drive down the well, try to find water, and then of course make sure the water is potable. But beyond that, then you'll have a water source. Again, when the power goes out and you can't just turn on your faucet and have water right there in your home, you have another way to get to. So that kind of leads me into my next reason for wanting to start the channel, is talking about ways to achieve sustainable living over time. So taking steps toward this in our everyday life. Again, what can we do without? Do we really need all this stuff? The answer is no. And you will not be less happy when you have less stuff. In fact, sometimes it's quite the opposite. Having a shift in your mindset about buying things when maybe you don't need to, or if something breaks, can you repair it? Can you use something else that you already have in place of the thing that broke? Do you even need it in the first place? Baby and toddler products is a great example of that. We had our son a little bit later in life, so then when he came along, I was like, what is all this stuff? What are all of these extra things? Now, some of those things do make childcare more convenient, but if you're a parent and then you know what I'm talking about, that there's so much stuff, things you'll get as gifts at baby showers that you're like, I'm just never going to use that, or you try to use it and it just doesn't make sense with what you're doing. So that's one of those things that, like, you think you need to have all this stuff, especially in America. We think we need to have all of this stuff, and certain things are more convenient, but are they really? Is it wasteful? Is it a waste of your money to spend on something? Things to think about for sure, and make changes in those areas if you discover that that's the case for you. A lot of things too, like around here, we use a lot of hand tools, or small things, like we have a very old shared tractor with a family member. It has been helpful, but it has very limited uses. We have a lawnmower, and then beyond that, we do everything else by hand. So we do have an electric log splitter, so that's a little bit of a manual process, but also uses electric. What tools can you use? What things can you do? And maybe instead of buying really large machinery to do this, because if you're transitioning into this lifestyle and you just have a normal average income, or you have less than that, you're not going to go buy a big piece of machinery right away. That's just not how you're going to start to make things happen. You can also rent machinery for certain projects, and that's what a lot of people do. And I certainly would recommend doing that if you're, clearing land or preparing a spot to build something. You may need to do that, or call somebody in to do that part, and then build the thing yourself when you get to that point. Of course, inexpensive or free things on Marketplace, for example, or wherever else. There's a lot of stuff. Again, America has a lot of stuff, and we have it in a lot of places. So you can go to thrift stores, you can go to discount stores, you can use Marketplace online. That's a great one. There's all kinds of, sometimes there is actually good building materials on there. lots of stone, brick, different types of wood. Sometimes you'll find free drywall sheets, etc. So there's a lot of people that do that already, or a handful of people rather. There's a lot of individual homestead channels that you can go out and subscribe to and watch their videos as well. We actually know quite a few people, family and friends, most of them are family, but a lot of friends too that have been living this lifestyle already for 10 or 15 years. So they know a lot, they've experienced a lot, they've tried a lot of different things. So I think it would be really fun to bring you along and show you their places and see what they've done. And then it is about the middle of November. It's actually the first day of hunting season, which is why I am by myself today. Being the end of the year, I'm thinking about goals for 2026. We have several. But top on our list is building our greenhouse to go in conjunction with our garden. So we're really excited about that. Stay tuned for more on that. We've already been collecting free materials from Facebook Marketplace in order to be ready to build that in the spring. We do want to add in meat birds this year, so we have laying hens, the coop and the run for them. We have a garden that's done pretty well. So we want to add in meat birds as our next animal and homesteading venture that we try for food this year. The garden size is great actually, but I want to have a couple of much smaller gardens in different areas of the property for different reasons that we'll go over in another video. And I want to be able to preserve more. We did great kind of living off of it during the summer. And then in the fall with the harvest, I did great with potatoes and a couple of other things. Acorn squash went crazy. But there were a lot of things that animals got to, because we need to do a better job of securing the garden. And we knew that. We just wanted to kind of get started with something. So that's going to be another goal, is to further reinforce and better build the garden. Well, everybody, that does it for today. Thank you so much for sticking with me this long. If you'd like to see more from us, don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a great day.